Happy people. Happy people. I hope we're all doing well today. Yes, it's it's here now when I'm doing the recording. It's the day after Thanksgiving, and um, a subject hit me. I'm in the studio with my brother, and I'm working on his project, and I'm helping produce some of the songs that he's doing. And so a subject came up in my spirit when we're in there, and it simply just said to me, love when it hurts. And I heard it just like that. Love when it hurts. I want to put out a disclaimer though first before we dive into this conversation, because I don't want by any way, means, shape, or form to suggest that a person that is being abused, or a person that is um, being mentally abused, physically abused, or any shape, form, or fashion of those situations, that you are to stay in something when you love that person. Because if that person loved you, those things wouldn't be going on. You don't abuse in any shape or form a person that you say that you love. So I just want to put that out there before we actually dive into this conversation, because people can twist things and make things look like, well, he just said that. No, no, I'm not saying that. And so I wanted to be very clear before we dived into this conversation of love when it hurts. you know um and it almost was like a love when it hurts. That's the type of statement that it came up in my mind. And so understanding love, purpose in pain. you know the first thing, when I wrote that down, the first thing that came to my mind was, for God so loved the world. He loved the world that was loveless, but he loved the world so much that he gave his only begotten son. He gave something to the world. You're talking about a king that's in love with the harlot, and I just like, wow, that's the first thing that came to my mind. And, I said, when we get married because we are in love, and oh, we're excited, but we don't talk about the pain sometimes that love has to endure. And then the scripture says love is patient, love is kind, love is puffed up, love endures, and all those things. But that's the other side of love that we don't oftentimes talk about. How do I love someone when, or love something when it hurts me? You know, and should we continue to, when is it at a place to where you decide to just let it go? um I've been, and I feel like when we talk truth, we got to be very transparent. I've been divorced, and for me, in those divorces that I've gone through, for me, I loved that person the way I knew how to love them. I would think that if you would talk with them, they would say that I didn't love them the way they needed to be loved. And there is a difference. And I'm being very transparent. I'm being very transparent and very elusive to you, so that way you can understand, the purpose of love. So, I was raised by my grandmother. My dad was not in my home, but he was in the home, but he wasn't there. And so I didn't really see how a man was supposed to love a woman. The glimpse that I got was my grandfather to my grandmother, who came off to me, in my opinion, even looking back on it, was very controlling. Um, very his way or no way. I never forget that we had my grandmother and I, we were best friends, and she love making something out of nothing. And so one day we were in her house and I was helping her clean up. And she said to me, hey, I want to change the living room around. And I said, okay, well, let's do that, And, me, I like to decorate and all that stuff and design. So I'm like, let's do that, Bob. And so we ended up changing the living room around and we went out to the store to buy some plants because she loved plants and stuff like that, just trying to spruce her house up, And when we got back home, her husband had changed everything back to the way it was. And I'm like, okay. And it wasn't so much that he didn't like what was done, he didn't like that she didn't get permission for him to do it. And I stopped because I'm just a kid, though. You have to remember this. And so I'm listening, but I'm not listening. But I seen the look on my grandmother's face, and I said, I never want a woman to look at me that way. And I never wanted to be, I made up in my mind and I made the choice then. I never wanted to be what I see through him. Never. Was he a good husband? Hey, I can't answer that. For her, in my mind, for what I was looking at, okay. One thing I could say when she passed away, God rest her soul, that he sent her out like a queen. So, while he was living and she was living, I would venture to say that she probably was in this conversation right now. She was loving even when it hurt her. And so that's my opinion. I'm sure my family would probably beckon and say something different, but hey, that I was there. I lived with her. I was raised by her. So I got the chance to see things that ultimately some of my other family members didn't get to see. So that was my opinion. But anyways, with that, I made a decision. I didn't want to be what I seen, and I didn't like what I seen. And so, but there's a inner turmoil that rattles in your mind that shapes you and fastens you, and it puts things in you subliminally that you don't even know that's there. So when I got married the first time, excuse me, when I got married the first time, we were kids. She was young. She pursued me, and that was my first time ever being pursued by a woman. And beautiful girl. We had our first child together, and but I still did not quite understand what it meant to be a husband. I treated her well, but there was moments in our relationship. I venture to say she was loving me even when it was hurting. And even though I didn't understand how to love her correctly, it ended up causing our marriage to demise, where she ended up cheating on me and found another person who she's with as far as I know to this day. And I oftentimes look back and look at some of the things that she did and I did that I said, okay, well, now I understood why marriage is not for kids, it's for grown-ups. And so, but the endurance that she had to endure, the endurance that I had to endure when she left and I was hurt and, devastated, never really getting married to get a divorce, but she had another option that seemed to be better. And I'm just going to keep it very transparent. And so, what am I talking about? Understanding the purpose in, or understanding the love purpose in pain. Love isn't just about easy comfort, is what I wrote. It is about growth. In Romans chapter 5, verse 3 and 4, we are reminded we also glory in our suffering because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and character, hope. When love hurts, it often is because it is growing something deeper in us. Pain becomes an opportunity for transformation, inviting us to an elevation of how we love and how we are allowing one to love us. And I made that statement thinking about what I just told you with my first, marriage, and the pain that it endured. And I remember years later, I had an opportunity to see her after all the hurt, after all the pain that I went through. And I apologized for who I was then. And I remember her looking at me like, some people, they put on that face as though, oh well, hey, I don't need your apology. I'm happy, I'm good, and I'm all that. But because I had been through, because I had been to school, and I learned how to deal with certain ideologies of people and hearing what they're saying and not really portraying what they are really meaning. I was seeing her mannerism, and I realized then that when I was apologizing to her, it she had to keep a face because it was bringing up wounds that she hadn't still dealt with. And so my apology forced her to look at, in my opinion, my apology forced her to look at herself as if, not that she was a bad person, but to go back and revisit, I love this person and this person hurt me. And I hurt this person. And I could see in her eyes when I was apologizing, it was too painful for her to relive. Did she accept the apology? Well, she dismissed it as though, I don't need your apology. I'm happy and I'm doing well, and my husband this and my husband that, and all these wonderful fluff things. But she never would look me in my eye. She hid behind things and stuff like that. And so, hey, I, my decision was not to apologize to her to get her back in my life. My decision was to apologize to her to help her understand that I've grown and I was wrong in my doing, and what I did, whatever I did, I was wrong. And I want to be man enough to apologize and wish you the best for future endeavors. I mean, hey, if you're happy and he's doing this, hey, look, you happy? I like it. You love it. So that's the way I looked at it. But it was still to this day. You're talking about, my daughter is 24, 24, 23, 24, and you talk about 24 years later, and it's still the same pain that endures. You would think by now you could just say, "Hey, how you doing?" But none of that. You can't do that. And I don't know. It was just a traumatic devastation, which is why I say that we, as people that are looking to get married, you better know who you are, because you can cause a lifestyle of pain for years on how to get past emotional trauma that you might have gone through. Point two is forgiveness as a pathway to freedom. I literally, in my spirit, forgave her. Um, I felt like, it was for me to forgive her. I couldn't hold on till she cheated on me. I took the route of, maybe I pushed her to cheat on me. I didn't want to be so self-righteous to where I said, look at her, she cheated on me and she was this, she was that. And I didn't want to take that road. And some of my friends knew the whole situation and stuff like that. And they were like, well, you wasn't as bad. But, well, guess what? She lived it. So I can't say, you could say that, but her experience, I'm not going to discount how she experienced it, because her experience is what really mattered. You know, and so I went into this place of saying, I apologize and I forgive her, because literally, when you can't forgive a person, it keeps you locked in a prison. We've heard this time and time again. But what it also does, it blocks your prayers from God hearing you to move forward. Somebody needs to hear this. I don't know who I'm speaking to. I don't know who it is that will visually get to see this conversation. But when you choose not to forgive, you keep your prayers hindered. It's indicative for you to forgive, so God can hear you, and and He can still keep you moving into a place of purpose. Forgiveness is not always easy, but it's necessary for healing. Ephesians 4:32 teaches us, be kind and compassionate to one another. Forgive each other just as Christ has forgave you. Sometimes the hurt in love is a call to forgive. When or let me is a call to forgive. Let me just say this: even when it feels undeserved, in that moment, ask yourself: is my heart open to releasing the pain so that I can love freely again? Ask yourself at that moment when you're taking a chance to or you're taking an opportunity to forgive. Ask yourself in that moment: is my heart open to release the pain so that I can love again? Hmm? Wow. Trusting God's timing in healing. Point three. Let me see. What did I put down? When love brings hurt, it's tempting to rush to a resolution. However, healing takes time. I'm going to say it again. When love brings hurt, it's tempting to rush to a resolution. However, healing takes time. Ecclesiastic 3 and 1, I think it is, reminds us to everything there is a season, a time for everything and everything under the heavens, is what it says. Trust the process of healing, whether it's your own or someone else's. Give love the space it needs to mend what is broken. Love can mend what's broken, and love is a double-edged sword. It can lend what's broken, and it can also break what has been whole. It can, but you have to have faith. It's a coin that flips on both sides. It also can heal, but it also can break. But just know that if it breaks, it has the power to heal again. Okay? Setting boundaries with love. Sometimes love hurts because we haven't established healthy boundaries. Proverbs 4, I think it 23 says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Loving someone doesn't mean sacrificing your well-being. It is okay to say, this is what I need to feel. Let me see, how do I want to put this? This is what I need to feel love and respect. This is what I need to feel in love and respect. It's okay to say that to somebody. No, you heard me say I think I loved her the way I knew how to love her, but she would probably tell you that I didn't love her the way she needed to be loved. It is okay to investigate, and you should be doing this before marriage. But if you're in a marriage, okay, find out that person's love language. Find out how that person, desires to be loved. Um, and if that person don't know who they are, they may not be able to share that with you. But it's okay, because when you are investigating, sometimes not being able to have the words to share with somebody doesn't mean that you can't, learn through the experience with someone. Okay, keep that in mind. Let me see, where was I at? Sometimes the love, excuse me, sometimes the hurt in love is a call to forgive even when it feels undeserved. I think I read that already. Let me go down. Okay, yes, here's where we're at. Trust the process of healing, whether it's your own or someone else's. Give love the space it needs to mend the broken heart. And we talked about setting boundaries. All right. Boundaries is when you set in love, help preserve the relationship rather than tear it down. Okay, I'm going to say this again. This is what I said earlier, this is what I need to feel, and this is how I need to be loved and respected. Boundaries, when set in love, help preserve the relationship rather than tear it down. Number 5.5, love as a reflection of God's grace. When love becomes difficult to reflect on how God loves us despite of our own imperfection, I'm reminded of 2 Corinthians verse 12 and 9. My grace is sufficient for you, and my power is made perfect in weakness. In In weakness, even in moments of relational struggles, when we are called to extend grace to one another, just as God has done for us. This does not mean to accept harmful behavior, but choosing to see each other through a lens of compassion and understanding. And I'm going to make that statement again. I ain't saying to go, you need to endure getting, hit or harmful situation. No. But if that person has imperfection with them, love should cause you to and this is a very difficult thing, you guys. Now I'm just saying this is very difficult, very, very difficult, because some people you have to know when to say, okay, I'm gonna choose to let this go because I love me more. And since you're not on the bandwagon of us learning how to love each other excuse me, healthy, then what I'm going to choose to do is I'm going to choose to get off the ship. Okay. And that doesn't mean that you don't love that person. It just means that you're not going to endure, you know, um, a person that's not willing to meet you. Is what it means. And so, I've had relationships and friendships. I've had relationships in in person not personal business wise, that I had to choose to let certain things go. It doesn't mean that I stopped loving them. It just means that this is as far as we can go at this moment in time. I may, if life brings us back to a place to where we can pick it up, we can leave off to where we left off or whatever. Hey, so be it. But if it's not, how do I want to say this? If it's not, if it's hindering you from getting to the purpose of what God has in your life, you got to let it go. It doesn't mean that you don't love that person. It just means that in this space and time, I choose to be about my Father's business. Okay. I think we get so wrapped up sometimes in relationships. We get so wrapped up sometimes into friendships that we have to stop and say, wait a minute, I'm only lent here for a season. And being that I'm only lent here for a season, I got to because you're gonna cause me to miss what God is trying to tell me to do. Now, when it comes down to relationships and stuff like that, and you're in a relationship that you're bound by marriage and stuff like that, if that person is bounding you, in a way that keeps you from moving forward, the Bible says, "How can two walk together except they agree?" Hmm? And so, I know this is a touchy subject. I know some people gonna be like, "Oh, okay," but it's the real fact, And so, shamefully, I can say, "Well, I've been divorced this many times or whatever," but I've learned in each one of my relationships what not to do in the next one. And relationships that have gone through trauma or demise, it should always teach you and help you grow. I've even said that in this subject that we're talking about today. Okay. Setting boundaries. Okay. Love, power to heal, not just endure. In moments of hurt, remember that love has the power to heal, not just endure pain. First Peter 4 and 8 declares, above all, love each other. Yeah, love each other deeply because love covers over a multitude of sin. It really can. Love isn't just about holding on during the storm, it is also actively participating in each one of our healings. Excuse me. Whether through the kind words of active service or simply by being present, love can be a balm that restores. I hope that these helps you. I've actually gone on a little bit longer than what I was supposed to have. Um, but I want to invite you to like, subscribe, and share, and click the notification button that will send you notifications when I do videos. I do them every week. And I think Patrick, sends them out every week to people that want to hear this, but just share them though, because there's people that are really, really struggling in areas of these conversations that we've been having for almost over 100 videos. I know 100 videos. I didn't realize I put out that many videos, but I think that these are hard subjects that people are having in their minds, and sometimes it's just a way of opening up conversations that some people have difficulties opening up and conversating with other people about. And so I choose to talk truth and be transparent the best way that God would allow me to do with the subject that He brings to my spirit. And so you know the spill. I do it every week on these videos. But if you know somebody that is dealing in situations that oftentimes would need, some coaching in these areas. Listen, and I'm excited about it. I have a coaching service called Let's Talk Truth with Jay, and it's where we take individuals or couples or corporate situations or whatever it is, and we bring them into a 3-day intensive coaching with my team, and whatever they're dealing with, we deal specifically in those areas to help them get over the hump and help them get to a place to where they know where they're going, and they're free to live towards purpose. And so the way you can find out about that, you can go to my website, you can click the casting button, and down there in the casting button, you can click, pre-coaching or a casting button. There is a way that you can get that for free of service to from me to you, and find out right in to find out about that, so we can share that with you. Okay. Um, we just want to stand in the gap for people, and help people live on purpose, in purpose, with all power. And then if you are looking for some tools, especially somebody that is, venturing to get married or want to get married, right down there is my book and my workbook. We use the workbook in our coaching, but you're free to actually go through it yourself. It will help you understand, identify in places of where you've gotten stuck at, that you continue to perpetuate, and how to get free from those areas and why you're in those areas. The self-help book is for women, for men. Um, just sharing with you and giving you a tool on understanding and reconfirming what you probably already know about your mate, and how to stand strong in what your assignment is to that person. I also have a book that's getting ready to come out for men, for women. And so I'm going to be releasing that real soon. Well, you'll hear more about that. Okay. And so, and then as always, I have these shirts. I got one on now. It's in red. It's got gold writing, and it says "Favor of God." And men, we need to know that the favor of God is pursuing us. Sometimes life, the hustle and bustle of life, beats us down so much to where sometimes we just cannot get a breath. But I want you to know that favor of God is pursuing you, and this is something that you can wear to remind yourself of it. You're putting on what you're trying to remind yourself of. And we also have them for women right down there. That is, listen, I am fearfully, wonderfully made. You're beautifully made, in spite of what trauma has taught you, or what your body physique may have shown you. You are beautifully and wonderfully made. Okay, a royal priesthood, and so that's how God views you, and that's what you need to view yourself. And if you have difficulties in that, put it on until you believe it. All right. So we have that for you. Listen, I'm out of time. Excuse me. I'm dealing with this cold, so please forgive me. But I'm out of time. But remember, we're going to do it on purpose. We're going to do it in purpose, and we're going to do it with all power. Until next time, I'm JL Stone. Talk to you soon.